Welcome children to anime school. Today's lesson, mature themes. One thing that for many sets anime and manga apart from Western cartoons is its willingness for even children's work to tackle heavy issues ranging from isolation, abuse, and even racism. The best works in the medium balance its fantastical setting and characters with its realistic themes, telling a compelling story while giving these concepts the respect they deserve. Meanwhile, in Platinum End, Platinum End is the newest series from renowned mangaka pair Tsugumi Ohba and Takeshi Obata of Death Note and Bakuman fame. That's probably not news to any of you because nobody in charge of the marketing for both manga and anime can shut the hell up about it. Mirai is a young man who, in his words, has given up on happiness. His family died in a car accident and his adopted family physically abuses him and forces him to sleep in a closet. So he does what any of us would do in that situation and tries to forget his troubles with a nice slice of 7-Eleven melon bread and oh. Shit, is there a joke I'm allowed to make? Except never mind, as he awakens in the arms of an angelic woman who declares she intends to give him the hope to live by giving him super speed, a love arrow that's basically Geass with extra steps, and a good old-fashioned magic murder gun. Of course, this shining avatar of pureness that would make any Japanese idol industry blush encourages him to refrain from. She immediately begs and baits him into killing his adopted parents. And pause. At this point, we certainly need to state the obvious. Platinum End deals with, well, basically everything. But of course, I refer to dealing with issues the same way a 13-year-old deals with getting his iPad taken away. The anime bounces between shock moment to shock moment with the same velocity of a 2D girl's G-cups and never stops once to ask, maybe I should explore those traumatizing topics at a deeper level than use them as an excuse to bestow cool anime powers. Grimdark edginess is a popular facet of the medium, and often it's used to refocus the audience's attention and create serious narrative impact. Hiroya Oku, edgelord supreme and creator of dark urban fantasy titles such as Gantz and Inuyashiki, for example, uses shocking tragedies to remind the audience of the world they live in and the obstacles that these characters have to overcome. In Platinum End, these events are a complete throwaway, typically having zero relevance to the plot. And each time they happen, you can kinda hear Tsugumi Ohba cackling at his desk like a schoolgirl, thinking about how hard he's gonna shock us this time. In no better way is this exemplified than what comes immediately after Mirai and the audience are supposed to be reeling from the implications of the gruesome death of his aunt. You turn the page in the manga to see an orgy. No, I'm not gonna show it to you. I actually want to make money on this video. It's uncensored in the manga if you really need to see it. Yeah, remember how one of the powers is a love arrow? Well, other people have been granted these powers, and unsurprisingly, some of them are incels. This is how we're introduced to the anime's main-ish villain, Kanade, who cosplays as the masked superhero known as Metropoliman. 13 suicidal people total, including Kanade, have been granted these powers for the purpose of deciding the next god, and he plans to use this persona to bait out the remaining candidates and eliminate them. At this point, if you've read Death Note, the whole picture might be coming together for you. Platinum End is a battle of wits between the sociopathic Metropoliman, willing to do whatever it takes, and the righteous Mirai, who, against all odds, is able to outsmart the prodigy. Actually, Mirai just sits in the actual, literal sidelines, while Kanade flawlessly executes his entire first plan. Ironically, this scene, just a few episodes in, is the most engaging moment in all of Platinum End, feeding that addiction to the anxiety-inducing tension ever present in the lights of Bakuman and the Gigabrain 69 steps ahead plans of Death Note. Metropoliman outmaneuvers and double-crosses the double-crossers that would be a heart-pounding just according to Keikaku moment if I actually cared about literally any of the parties involved. The god candidates that are sent to the great isekai in the sky get just moments of developments before saying goodbye. Kanade himself has no motivation for his status as a villain, and when they finally do reveal it much later in the series, it's just as eye-rolling as you would expect. And oh, did I mention that our main character is sitting on the actual, literal sidelines while Kanade executes his entire plan? What made the writing of Death Note so compelling for me is how, from a moral standpoint, it's rather clear that L was in the right and Light was homicidally insane. Come on, guys, it wasn't actually ambiguous. Despite this, Ohba builds two characters whose brilliance are in a continual fight to outshine the other, their respective infectious personalities compounding until you genuinely don't know which one you want to come out on top. Whether L catches Light or Light gets away with it, the audience feels victorious because we've been tricked into rooting for both. I don't give a shit about any of these people. Oba seems far more concerned with the brutal edginess of Platinum End, that Kanade feels less like a powerful, unstoppable force to our immovable Mirai, and more like a basic, uninteresting caricature. Each character, in fact, feels confined to this tight little box that the writer has made for them, only breaking out temporarily to engage in meaningless pseudo-philosophical gibberish about the nature of their heavenly Squid Game. And when they actually play this game, the tension is almost artificial. Action exists, but the moment-to-moment suspense that these creators are known for almost always comes down to if Mirai will just fucking do something. And of course, that's the biggest failing of Platinum End, the protagonist himself. I have to put aside my insatiable need to roast our little emo friend, because the reality is, in a vacuum, Mirai is actually a brilliant character. The most common challenges that anime present to be overcome are the external challenges. The shonen villain with the unbeatable jutsu, the nation on the other side of the sea that seeks to conquer you, or the Jump editorial department. Mirai from the beginning is set up for success, being one of the few god candidates with all three powers, but lacks the fundamental desire to use it. His fight is not with the world around him, but the world within him. A life of continual hardship, hatred, and abuse has reduced him down to a husk of a human, refusing to entertain the contest he's been thrust into. Throughout Platinum End, when presented with the choice of taking a life or losing his own, he always chooses the latter. Not because of some deep-seated moral compass that finds value in living things, but because he simply doesn't believe that his own life can be worth the life of another, no matter how rotten or deprived. Any outcome where his life would be spared is a net loss to the world, and so his white arrow is never fired. And I might believe even a single word of that if the world around me and I wasn't filled to capacity with raving cartoonish psychopaths. The constant refusal of Mirai to even acknowledge how dancing mad the world is, and take even the most basic steps to do anything about it, while each and every character drags him along for the ride, doesn't make for development, just apathy. When Kanade mind controls a hypersexual serial killer into becoming a scapegoat to bomb a public building just to draw our characters out, Mirai just mostly chills and broods, while his far more interesting ally Nanato does all the work. I don't take Mirai's ethical quandaries about killing seriously, because Oba clearly doesn't take the world the least bit seriously. Yes, Death Note was certainly silly at times, but it knew when to stop and breathe, grounding the characters and us. No better is the tonal whiplash endemic to the anime, more evident than the final confrontation with Kanade, which, by the way, happens about here, and should tell you all you need to know about how valuable building him up as the villain actually was. During the fight, Kanade brings in two allies who he's mind-controlled with the red arrow, one of them being a batshit pharmacist, who has not only created a drug that literally melts the skin and organs of whoever's injected with it, but also a contagious pathogen that would presumably lead to national genocide if it was released. Oh my god, we get it, you're edgy. And of course, she has it hooked up to her own heart, so you can't just kill her. So Kanade demands, for basically no reason other than spite, that Mirai willingly submit himself to the drug, lest Nurse Harley here release Super COVID. And no, unfortunately, he stops her by using his white arrow directly on the virus itself. And I don't buy any of it. Throughout this video, I've been complaining about the passivity of Mirai, but by the time we're more than halfway through this series and Mirai has yet to do much of anything, I have no reason to believe it when he finally does. As far as we, the audience, are concerned, this boy is merely an empty husk, incapable of any real sense of agency within the narrative. So when for the first time he finally nuts up, it's so out of character that I can't seem to care. But not caring is really a continuous theme here, as Platinum End only becomes more empty and hollowed out as time goes on. Nearly all action, mystery, and character development is replaced with droning dialogue about the nature of God or lack thereof. Also interspaced with multiple pages about how God should get rid of cancel culture on Twitter. That's kind of weird. It certainly felt as if the writer thought they had something deep or introspective to say, but at the point where each player in this story was molded into nothing more than a different flavor of background NPC, all I can really draw from it was nothing really matters. But maybe that was the point, because Platinum End is about nihilism and the meaninglessness of our struggles and trying to find happiness in the fleeting moments we have. I'm not gonna spoil how it ends, but rest assured, when I opened the final pages of that final chapter, I don't think I had the reaction Oba was looking for. Here's a brief reenactment of what actually happened. No fucking Platinum End is not a terrible anime, but functions as a cautionary tale for creators that fail to think before they leap. It promises a darker and more mature psychological thriller, but leans so heavily into merely convincing you that it's darker and more mature that all its other elements are just smothered out. I really hope this isn't the end for Tsugumi Ohba and Takeshi Obata, because together they've created legendary pieces of art, among other things. Obata is currently working on a series called Shoha Shoten with Akinada Asakura that feels so eerily yet wonderfully similar to Bakuman despite lacking its aforementioned writer. Platinum End, I think, will remain an anomaly in their career. Remembered, but not revered. A story of what happens when your ambitions run away from you, and you're left with something as empty as the message of the anime itself. All of that aside, the art is freaking sick. I mean, just look at these covers, god damn!